It's Liam White,
and Sadie Bolton.
and we're here with.
Joseph Decker.
How did you think of doing a podcast?
Oh, it wasn't really necessarily all me. So Principal Jonathan Williams at the high school and me had an idea. We both loved basketball. There wasn't a lot of media actually really around the third region, and the third region was so good at the time. We have so much talent. So we decided one night we wanted to do a Twitter space on Twitter where basically it's all audio. It's just me and him talking on there, and it went really good. We had over 500 people watch. So our goal was how could we make it better? Mr. Williams had a really good friend in Louisville who actually does a podcast. So he kind of gave us some equipment. He kind of told us how to run things, and we decided to do a podcast one night. We called it the Wildcat Alley. We had a few people support us, some podcast sponsors, things like that, and we started it off interviewing multiple people from regions, girls and boys. One of our first guests was Will Alexander. He actually plays at Alice Lloyd in Eastern Kentucky now. It's an NAIA college, and he was a great first guest. And I'd always loved basketball. I stopped playing in middle school, but I still wanted to pursue it, whether if it was social media, whether if it was college coaching, whether if it was being an analyst. So I knew that was going to be the work I was going to get into. And, I was just 16, sophomore, so I was like, look, we can do this right now, and we can get things started early. And looking back on it, it's probably been one of the better, if not the best decisions I've made kind of in my high school career.
What were your thoughts going into your podcast?
I didn't really have any initial thoughts. I didn't know where it would be today. I didn't think it would ever go that far. I didn't know if it would just be something I'd done for 2 or 3 months. But now it's kind of turned into kind of my main job I do every day. It was a lot of fun. I knew it would be a lot of fun. I knew it would be something entertaining to people. I knew people would love it. So I kind of knew, hey, if this thing gets big enough, if enough people start supporting us, the sky's the limit. And since then, we have really done very well with viewers. We've actually had rebranding. We've name switched, things like that. I'm sure I'll talk about that later. But going into it, I would be lying if I said I wasn't nervous a little bit. I think the first episode I'd done it, my whole face was red, and I told Mr. Williams, can I just do it with the camera off? But going into it, my goal was to promote these athletes around the third region and just entertain people. Because at the end of the day, everybody, no matter who you talk to, wants to be entertained. They have a certain group of things that they like to hear about and listen to, and that was something that we've done that a lot of people around this area of Kentucky really love is Kentucky high school basketball.
How far do you think the podcast will end up going?
I just said the sky's the limit, but honestly, I'm not sure. I'll eventually go to college here in 8 months probably, and it'll have to slow down a little bit. Won't be able to do it as much, but we still have multiple months of this year and the whole basketball season to cover it, and get more guests and podcast guests. So honestly, like I said earlier, the sky's the limit. My goal is to get, some NBA players on the show, some very of the top college basketball players, and maybe even some more college basketball coaches. So I don't know the exact answer, but I think it's still got a long ways to go, and we can definitely, grow it even more than it already is.
Would it be hard to get NBA players on the podcast?
Absolutely, yeah, it's difficult. They're not guys, sadly, that you can just text and they text back right away. You usually have to go through management, media, things like that. We've had former NBA players on there, ABA players. For instance, one of their name is Daryl Carrier. He actually lives in Bowling Green. He played in the ABA. A lot of times it's just building a connection with somebody, and then they can put in a good word. A lot of NIL agents I could say, hey, can I get in contact with, for instance, someone you guys probably know, Devin Booker, who played at Kentucky. And then he says, okay, I'll get in contact with Devin. We'll see what we can make happen. That would be a great one. That's someone I'd like to have, but a lot of it's just connections, making sure you know the right people. Obviously shooting for LeBron James is not going to be something easy, getting him to come on, but there's other guys you can definitely get in contact, but the biggest thing is connections, just knowing the right people who can maybe get you into that conversation.
What are some of the most memorable guests on the podcast?
Definitely Daryl Carrier. Like I said, he actually played in the ABA. He's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He actually played in the 60s and 70s, so he's not as popular as some guys. But the ABA was basically the competition league for the NBA, where they both had lots of great players. The ABA had Julius Erving, and Daryl Carrier actually held a lot of the scoring records. He's considered one of the greatest shooters ever, scored over 10,000 points. He's one of the best national players ever because he played overseas. He played in leagues like FIBA, and he actually has a lot of scoring records. He scored more than Michael Jordan countless times. So Daryl Carrier is one of the best to ever do it. He went on to coach college basketball and high school basketball after too, but he's a phenomenal person. He's a basketball guru. He loves it, and he's got a lot of wise stories and fun things to talk about, and he's pretty loved in Edmonson County by a lot of people.
So you talked about going to college. Like, what are your plans when you get out of college and start doing that stuff?
I love the idea of coaching. I'm a big helping others guy. I like to help out guys my age now, some people that's older. So I want to help people no matter what. I've always loved the idea of recruiting. Getting kids to come to a school, getting kids to go to a certain place, giving them kind of a sales pitch nowadays. So I'm going to go to EKU more than likely. That's kind of where I'm looking at right now, Eastern Kentucky. And you kind of got to start things early. You kind of have to start as a student manager, then work up and maybe be a graduate assistant. And then if the coaches liked you enough, if you have a good enough connection, you can go on and be an assistant coach. Once you're an assistant coach, you kind of have free reign. You don't just help with the team playing. You get to recruit, you get to travel, you get to do all that. And I think that's my dream job, is to be, the head recruiter at a college basketball program at the Division I level. So right now, that's my goal. That's kind of what I have decided right now. Going to go up to Richmond, Kentucky. It's about 30 minutes outside of Lexington, and they're a really good basketball team. They're pretty popular. They play really fun. It's a really good place to be a part of. Their future's bright, and I love Coach A.W. Hamilton, and he's their head coach. He's the one who kind of reached out to me about things, and he's a great guy.
Talked about helping people. How do you plan to inspire future generations of younger podcasters?
Just letting kids be comfortable, man. A lot of people get so scared and nervous behind the camera if something's live. What I do is live. Every podcast I do is live, and it can be difficult. I still get guests on there who's 20, 25 years old, and they still get nervous. So you're always going to have nerves. You're always going to be worried to do something. You're always going to think, well, what if this doesn't work? But the hardest part of blowing up, the hardest part of getting it started is actually doing it. Once you've done it, that stress is cleared out of your mind, and you can kind of do whatever you want. So I think the biggest thing I want to inspire kids is just don't be afraid to do something. Don't be worried to do it. A lot of people say the saying, don't care what other people think, and that's true. It's really something to live by. Don't worry what people or in your school might think about you if you start a podcast. It doesn't matter what you're talking about, sports, gaming, something like that. Don't be worried what someone thinks about it. Don't be worried what someone has to say about it. Just be you. Just do what you want to do. And trust me, there's 8 or 9 billion people in this world. There's going to be a crowd and an audience that's going to enjoy talking to you. So don't feel like you're not going to be impacting anybody or influencing anybody. There's somebody out there for you who wants to listen to you and enjoy your content.
Going back to when you said you want to do the travel stuff, how do you find these different places you go to?
So luckily, the KSSAA, it's kind of the Kentucky High School Basketball Association. It's actually the association over all the sports. All the counties in Kentucky have a basketball team. Some of them have several basketball teams. There's private schools. There are all kinds of things. So, going to the internet, going to KSSAA.com, finding these schools. A big thing for me, too, is where I do the scouting service Next Up Recruits. We know all these top players. We know all these kids. So we can just go to their school. Their coaches don't mind if we come. We scout their basketball team. We talk to them. We put out social media posts. Any coach at any level loves getting some publicity. I was with Coach Brad Meredith yesterday of the high school. He loves getting some publicity for his team. So the easiest way to kind of get access is just know the coaches. Talk to them. Do you care if I come to your practice? Do you care if we cover your basketball team? And they're never going to say no. And that's just the easiest way to kind of get out there, figure out the top kids' names, figure out some of the best players around the state, build a little connection with them. Then they can come on your podcast. You guys have a good episode. And then you kind of start building a relationship with them and a good friendship. And, that can go a long way.
Tell us about your school life, because you're a high school student, like any clubs, things you're a part of.
Well, right now I kind of do everything virtually, so everything's at home. The schools just didn't really match the travel, but so I still do schoolwork. I still do reading, I still do math, I still do all kinds of different classes online. But I'm still pretty involved with school still. I came in the other day and decided to take pictures, so sometimes you'll catch me in the building. But when I was in school, I done a lot of different clubs. I was a big fan of SAD Club. That's one you're probably going to have the opportunity to join when you're in high school. It's against drugs. It's a big anti-drug club, and you took a lot of visits to places. You took a lot of field trips. That was one that I was a big fan of. Also done DECA, which is more business oriented. I've always been a big business guy, starting my own business. So that was a fun one. But yeah, I was always kind of involved with the athletes, the sports guys, always good friends with everybody. I kind of said it earlier, don't care what other people think. I also would say be nice to everybody, be close with everybody. Going into high school, a lot of people get worried. People's not going to like you. They say it's hard years. Just be friendly with everybody, man. Try to have as many friends as possible. You never want to get into anything unnecessary. You never want to have anything against somebody. So just try to be as friends with as many people as possible. It doesn't matter what club they're in. It doesn't matter what class they like. It doesn't really matter how different they are than you. Like I said earlier, we all have passions and things we love. You can find a spark with somebody and start a friendship by just a simple question. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how my high school life was, and I'm still living in it right now. But no, I mean, that's basically it.
Do you like virtual school more than like in person?
It depends. The work's easier virtually, so I definitely like that about it. I would be lying if I said there's not times you don't miss your friends, you miss being in the atmosphere. If school, you could just go to school 7 hours a day, do no work, and just hang out with your friends, that would be awesome. But I don't miss the routine. I don't like getting up every morning at 6 in the morning. That was not fun at all. But no, I heavily still endorse going to school. Just because I do virtual, I tell everybody still go. I've even thought about maybe going back sometimes. But no, virtual school's pretty fun. It's pretty easy. It really just kind of works around my schedule, so it's kind of something I have to do. But yeah, I do enjoy it. It's pretty fun.
If you could have a dinner with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
That's a tough question. I think of musicians off rip. I also think of some sports. And this is a crazy one. I'm going to go with Kanye West, the artist. He's always been my favorite rapper and artist growing up. He's a very controversial figure, so I don't know how it would go down, but I've always loved his music. He's always been one of my bigger inspirations. He's really good at motivating people, especially in his early work. So he's someone I would love to sit down with and talk about him. He's a multi-time billionaire, so kind of just sharing business ideas with him. And I've always liked his swag, man. I've always liked how he dressed and how he carried himself. So I just think there'd be some fun conversations, and I would fanboy a little bit. I definitely would. He'd definitely be like, wow, this guy thinks I'm way too cool or something. But no, that would be my pick for dream dinner, dead or alive.
You were talking about inspiration, so like what's the best inspiration you've ever had from someone?
I don't know if I have an exact answer for that. I know there's definitely a lot of other social media creators, content creators, people who do social media that's kind of influenced me to just keep doing content. I don't really know any specific names, I would say, really. There's been a lot of people that's given me advice to keep going and kind of do what I do. One's my dad and one's my parents. They're big on it. A big thing from me that's influential from them is just how much they support me. The support they give me to keep doing what I'm doing. It's hard for me to ever say I want to stop because they keep pushing me and they keep wanting me to be great. So my biggest influences and my biggest inspirations is without a doubt my parents, just because how hard they push me to keep doing better. Sometimes I feel like I'm never doing good enough for them because they always want me to do better. But I love that about them because they keep pushing me. And at the end of the day, everybody should have somebody in their life that pushes them to keep doing better and keep doing greater, because we have so much capability as humans. We can do so much, and we should never give up and just stop after one good achievement or doing one good thing.
Well, Joseph, thank you for coming on the podcast. Is there anything you want to tell us about yourself?
We talked a lot about the podcast. Thanks again for letting me come on. We talked a lot about the podcast. I also want to promote Next Up Recruits a little bit. It's a top 10 most followed scouting service around the country. We actually have 68,000 followers on Twitter. Our work there is selling kids to colleges, kind of promoting them, kind of giving these college coaches an easier route to recruit kids around the state, promoting kids around the state, and it's kind of just like the all you need to know about Kentucky high school basketball. Everything you kind of need to know is there. Articles, rankings. I even stream the podcast off there. So that's something I would very highly recommend is Next Up Recruits on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube if you're interested with keeping up with Kentucky high school basketball. But no, that's about it.
And how can they support your work?
So you can look up Joseph Decker on Facebook, Instagram, any type of social media, and you can find me there. If you're interested in following the Joe Show account, it's The Joe Show. And on Instagram, it's The Joe Show. And on IG, on Twitter /X, it's The Joe Show on X. And then on Facebook, it's just The Joe Show. On YouTube, it's The Joe Show, your sports source. Make sure, like I said, follow Next Up Recruits on all social medias. It's a great place to be a part of. We love to interact with fans on there as well and get the communities involved. And just follow me on Joseph Decker on social medias. But yeah, that's the easiest way to reach me or get a hold of me and show me some support.
And that's the Wildcat Podcast out.